Now we've got with us here Lutz Graumann. Hi Lutz, thank you very much for making time to talk with us. So today you spoke a little bit with us about health and vitality and how important that is for us to perform better as leaders. And I'd like you to share with our viewers a little bit about what exactly is the difference between health and vitality, and then more about how can we work on it.
Our experience from the past that we think that being just healthy is not enough if you prepare a team for a battle. This is my military background where we actually prepare teams for battles. But also this is the same thing is true for the business world. Because as entrepreneurs and as leaders in your field, you don't only have to be healthy, you have to be way more than this. It's about your energy level. You have to be able to radiate energy. You have to be able to be a role model for the vitality in your organization. So it is something that we need to have to take in consideration that's a crucial part to the success of the organization.
So I understand that you've developed something called the key vitality indicators. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah. When we speak about performance development in an organization, it's really hard to get the story across to the CEOs and the leadership teams because they all know what their KPIs are, but they hardly have a clue what the human performance is based on and how they can optimize it or identify patterns when actually the organization is at a tipping point where also the vitality could crash in the organization and the energy could crash in the organization. And this is why we researched all the literature out there, what correlates really well with the organizational success. And we found that there are like 8 or 10 different items that we need to ask on a regular basis to see where the organization stands or the team stand. And the number one thing is just judge your happiness out of the gut feeling. And on a score from 0, being super unhappy with the situation and being 100% happy with the situation, we look for patterns when we see changes in the happiness levels in the organization. Where does our happiness come from? The happiness comes from your work environment, the ratio of commitment, challenge, and control. Then we see the interactions with the colleagues. We always thought that actually being helped by others is a strong predictor for happiness, but it's actually the other way around. That if we are happy, if we are helping others to reach their goals, we trigger something called altruism. This is basically what makes doctors happy in their jobs. We have a smile on our face when the patient leaves the treatment room with less pain and a smile on his face. So we get this positive feedback when we helped others. And the same things happen in the business environment, that if a colleague is able to reach out to others to facilitate their success, they go home and feel good about themselves too. And then we have a couple of the typical stressors that we identify, which are always the same stressors. It's interpersonal problems, personal problems at home, problems with the lack of resources, the lack of time, and the lack of priorities. And then we could create a dashboard for the organization with the help of the KVIs.
Cool. So let's talk a little bit about, how can we, especially as entrepreneurs, how can we work on this? How can we improve this?
Yeah, we've identified 4 core areas that we can optimize. It is pretty much always the same 4 columns that you find in the literature. It's always your mindset, then it's your movement, then it's your fuel, what you throw in your tank to fuel up, and then it's your recovery and the recharging strategies that you have. And the mindset in the first place is, are you able to grow? Do you have a growth mindset or a fixed mindset? Are you open for any recommendations, or do you think you are best no matter what? And then the second thing is movement. If we spend a lot of time in the office growing our organization, we hardly ever move. And that's a really downside, that's a really depressing story for our human body, because most of the problems in the Western world do come from a lack of movement. And just if you look at your tracker, we've been 10 hours now at the Berlin conference, and how many steps did you have on your tracker? It's probably less than 2,000. Yeah, and now we have to make sure that we encourage people to move, that we have office spaces where people go out of their workplace every 45 to 55 minutes, that will also increase their attention span and make errors a lot less likely. And so we have to facilitate movement in the organization. And then we have to be aware of our food choices and drink choices, because the fuel in the tank decides whether you are a high performer or not a low performer. And we just need to use the analogy of a car. So when you take your car to the gas station, you really know what it needs. And you wouldn't really think, wait a minute, I'm really a little bit short of time and money. I'll just throw the cheaper thing in. If I drive a Porsche, it would never cross my mind to put in diesel as a fuel, because it's cheaper. But this is what we do in the workplace. We go for the cheaper or faster solution, and this is where also our energy could crash. And the last but not least thing is that people always sacrifice first in times of crisis in the work environment is sleep and recovery. And we really want to make sure that we emphasize the importance of sleep, because if you don't recover really well, you stand up in the morning and it's just like the same as you having a bit of alcohol in your bloodstream. If you're sleep deprived, if you sleep 2 days less than 6 hours, it's like 0.9 blood alcohol. And you don't want to have that. You don't want to have somebody showing up at your workplace just like a drunk guy.
And sleeping too much, does that have any bad effects?
Sleeping too much is hardly ever the case. We haven't had a problem. So you would actually be the first person to show up at my practice and say, hey doc, wait a minute, I think I am over-recovered. I see people that come up that didn't overtraining and too much, but I've never had a client showing up at my practice and asked for remedy for over-recovery.
So that's just plain lazy.
Plain lazy.
All right, if people wanted some more information about this, how could they find it, or how could they reach out to you?
They could always go to our website, which is quest-vitality.com and .de, and you'll get plenty of info on us on our website.
Thank you very much, Lutz.
Thank you.
Thank you.